Welcome to Lawyer Business Advantage. This podcast is dedicated to helping attorneys earn more money, get better clients, and spend more time with family. I'm your host, Alay and founder of law firm Success Group. Smart business guidance for small law firms begins in 3, 2, 1. And it's my pleasure to welcome to Lawyer Business Advantage, Karl Seelbach, co-founder and managing partner of Doyle and Seelbach. And Karl is also a LegalTech founder and entrepreneur. Karl, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on the podcast. I was looking you up on LinkedIn, and you have a really cool background that I don't see very often. You've done a lot of things in the legal tech startup world. You're also a successful lawyer. Which actually came first for you?
Yeah, that's a good place to start. So definitely my career at the beginning was a very straight path. So it was straight into law. I went to undergraduate at Stephen F. Austin, law school at South Texas, and then just straight into being an associate attorney. So that came first.
And then what made you decide to start looking at other business opportunities? Most attorneys that I know are kind of locked into that track, and that's what they do, but you're doing some other things too.
It's really funny. I can actually think back to my law school interviews, which, believe it or not, was 20 years ago now. Oh my gosh, I feel old. Yeah, 20 years ago, I was doing on-campus recruiting interviews, and I remember two attorneys at the firm I had eventually joined, Winstead PC. During the interview, towards the end of the interview, Yasmina Tassi and Teresa Snyder made a comment. They were like, you sound like you would want to hang out your own shingle someday." And I hadn't really even heard that phrase before. I kind of understood what they were getting at, and they said, you really asking entrepreneurial type questions. You sound like the type of law student who would want to open his own law firm someday. And of course, I hadn't thought about it at all at that point. And my response was, "Oh no, I want to work at a big firm and make partners someday." And what else are you going to say? You're in an interview for a summer
Right.
associate position. So I think there must have been something about the way that I presented, maybe the way that I answered questions that showed a little bit of entrepreneurial spark, I guess you could say. And so to answer your question more directly, I love technology. I love all types of technology, consumer tech, gadgets, and I've always looked for ways to leverage technology in my own career. And so really the inspiration to start a business came out of my own frustrations with some of the things that we face as litigators. I was always looking for tools that what could speed up this, what could make this more efficient, what could lower the cost or improve the process for the way we take depositions or the way that we analyze discovery or whatever it may be. So it was that kind of constant search for tools. And then when I couldn't find one that really fit the need I was looking for, I decided to take a swing and try to build it.
Very cool. Well, tell us about your law firm because you are a practicing attorney. What does Doyle and Seelbach do?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we defend companies across the entire state of Texas on personal injury cases. So all types. We do workplace injuries, we do trucking, we do auto accidents, general liability. Think, customer slip and falls. I mean, it runs the full gamut. We have cases that are very serious catastrophic injury cases, fatality cases. We also have a lot of smaller cases that are just, slip and falls or lifting injuries or things like that. We also have some other dockets. We do a little bit of real estate litigation, a little bit of commercial litigation. We have a partner who has kind of a specialized practice doing a type of administrative type law. But most of what we do is personal injury. That's really been our bread and butter. And we defend a lot of household names without kind of going down the list, a lot of major retailers, restaurants, hospitals, shipping and logistic companies, brands that you probably see and shop at least once or twice a month, if not a week.
Yeah.
So it's good. One thing that I learned growing up at a big firm, and I kind of saw this may be part of what influenced my route to landing in personal injury defense. I feel like within about a 2 to 3 year swing when I started practicing law in 2006, I felt like I saw the best of times and the worst of times, or let's hope it was the worst of times, all within about 3 years. And what I mean by that is when I graduated law school, before I ever started at Winstead, I got a raise because there was this salary war going on amongst the big and mid-sized firms. And, it was a the byproduct of that for a new associate was, great, more money. I haven't even started
Right.
yet. Within 2 years, we have the recession,
Mm.
right? And so within 2 years, all of a sudden I'm looking right and I'm looking left, and I'm seeing, law school friends getting laid off from their jobs. Winstead did the best they could to keep as many people as possible, but there were definitely some people that lost their jobs. So it was a very strange time to start to become a lawyer and kind of learn how to practice law, to go through those two things so quickly. And so, what does that have to do with where I landed? I really found myself looking for an area that was evergreen. And what I mean by that is, it doesn't matter if the economy's great or bad, the work's still going to be there and it's still going to be pretty consistent. And that tends to be true with personal injury work.
A lot of the personal injury firms I know of are, they'll do both sides. For you to take on the defense side, is that primarily through insurers on a panel, or are you doing a different sort of business model?
Yeah, it's a different sort of business model. It's a great question. Ours is completely different. And I will also share a little backstory. When we first started the firm, we were doing both. We did some plaintiff's work and we did some defense work. That was not necessarily by design. I would say it was by necessity. Like we really just needed, cases and money
Sure.
to keep the
Yeah.
lights on and feed our families. I wouldn't trade that experience for anything because it taught me so much about practicing law. And in particular, it gave me a big appreciation for the plaintiff's lawyers and what they have to deal with on their side of the V. Like on the defense side, typically, most of the time, I'm dealing with sophisticated clients who understand the litigation process, who, yes, they want to get a great outcome. Of course we do, but at the end of the day, this is one claim of hundreds, if not thousands of claims that they're managing.
Yeah.
When you're on the plaintiff side, those plaintiffs lawyers, they're not only the lawyer, they're the counselor, they're facilitating medical services. They've got clients who are desperate, because they can't work and they can't afford to, pay their bills and make ends meet. So it taught me a lot about kind of both sides of the case, particularly in the world of personal injury. And so where we ultimately landed was on the defense side, and it wasn't through insurance panels. It was, fortunately for us, we have a lot of relationships directly with mid to large companies, and we get hired directly by the companies. A lot of them have insurance policies that really don't kick in until, we'll call it $1 million or so. Like they're big enough companies that they're self-insured up to some limit,
Hmm.
either high six figures or seven. And that means they get to pick their own firm. And so we have great relationships with insurance carriers as well. We do have a couple of insurance companies that we're on their preferred panel and they send us work. But historically, most of the work that we've gotten has been just through direct relationships and, some of the third-party administrators. So in the world of personal injury, for the lawyers that are listening that are familiar with this, companies tend to outsource some aspects of their dockets to other companies, right, that specialize in claims management. And we've just been really fortunate to have really great relationships with a lot of third-party administrators who see that we do good work. They see that the team is super responsive, has clear action plans. I've found that the number one reason we've been able to grow the firm is other firms' failure to timely communicate and do what they say they're going to do. And so, they get unhappy, they're looking for other lawyers, and our firm just has a really strong reputation of, we do what we say we're going to do by when we said we were going to do it. And, try to under promise and over deliver is a big part of, I think, our key to success.
Uh, Sounds like an awesome firm that you've built. Congratulations on all your success. How did you find time to go off and build Scribe.io?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, the answer is I surround myself by great people. So on the law firm side, one of my best friends, Treg Doyle, is my founding partner, right? So we founded the firm together, 50-50. He's been amazing. I always tell people he's the smartest attorney I've ever worked with. He tends to have the legal brain. I tend to have a little bit more of the operations brain and kind of how to build the business, how to grow the business. And it's just been a really great mix between those two skill sets. So on the law firm side, that's how I've managed to grow the firm is I kind of have the entrepreneurial spirit. for many years. And I will tell your listeners that are maybe starting firms or have small firms, for too many years, I wore way too many hats. And one of the things that I think entrepreneurs can get trapped in as a consequence of perhaps some of their own personality traits and maybe always wanting everything to be done the best way is micromanaging or kind of doing everything yourself. The faster you can delegate to a consultant, to a part-time employee, to whoever it may be, that's when you really can begin to grow your business. Because if you're going to grow it from 1 to 10 to 50 to 100 and so on, you have to have a team in place. You can't have it all come back on one or two partners. So that on the law firm side, that's been a really big part of it. On the Scribe side, similar story. Similar story. I have a co-founder, Tom Irby. Tom is the CEO of Skribe. It's Scribe with a K, .ai. And he's been amazing. He's, the full-time CEO. He manages the operations. I provide a lot of the, I would say, vision and road mapping and product input, and I help a little bit with sales, particularly some of the larger accounts that the team is chasing. But like so many businesses, it all comes down to the people.
No doubt. And that's something that we teach, our clients all the time is adding that first hire, that second hire, that third hire. It's so important. And clearly it's something that you've mastered over the years. When you think about legal tech, you've been in this field for quite a while and you've seen a lot of different, legal tech come and go. How do you think the market is evolving? Obviously AI is all the talk and all the rage. There's a lot of other stuff happening too.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think the answer to that question is maybe the best answer is we're in the very early days of how AI is going to change the way we operate. So I kind of think back to dial-up internet. I think that's the best analogy that I can think of. So remember in the 90s, AOL, and you would hear the funky phone line noise when you would sign on to the internet. Remember what websites looked like back then? That's where we are today with AI. It doesn't feel like it currently, but it will in 10 years. And so I think it's extremely hard to predict where this is headed and how fast it's going to get there. But the legal industry tends to be a little slower to adopt new technology than other industries. I did see a really encouraging statistic at a Clio presentation just this week where Jack Newton was presenting, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but the number of attorneys, percentage of attorneys and legal professionals that were using AI in some way had grown year over year from like 14% to over 70%. So there seems to be a willingness to embrace some aspect of AI. But when I speak on the topic and I get people to raise their hands when it's an in-person event, there's not that many hands that go up that they're using it every day. And so I think we're still really early in how it's going to impact law firms and the way they do business. I do think it depends on the type of law you practice. Plaintiffs' lawyers tend to be very quick to embrace tools that will increase their efficiency. And a big part of that is obvious to those of us who are in the business and know, how lawyers get paid. Plaintiffs' lawyers, by and large, get paid on a contingent fee. They don't bill by the hour, which means the more efficient they can be, the better, right? The more successful their business is, the higher their margins are. Whereas defense lawyers and a lot of other types of lawyers in other practice areas, including transactional work, think, doing big M&A deals or contract review, those lawyers tend to bill by the hour. So there is this tension, and it's talked about pretty frequently at legal tech conferences of, AI can speed everything up drastically. And then you've got lawyers saying, well, that's great. I bill by the hour. So, you're telling me I'm going to make less money if I use your tool. So there's a little bit of tension there. I'm not exactly sure where the dust is going to settle, but I think there's a good chance that more and more in-house attorneys, that particularly ones that work for mid to large corporations, will begin to keep more work in-house and use AI tools to answer questions that they would otherwise send to outside counsel.
It's a really powerful market force and it's going to shape, pretty much every industry for years to come. And I'm excited to see what happens to it. No one really knows how it's going to turn out, but it is an unstoppable force and it is coming. So, uh,
Yeah, such a big part of it, if I could just add this, because I just saw an article today that I was just shaking my head. Um, Education is so important. And I think that law firms who stick their head in the sand, particularly law firm partners or managing partners or administrators who just say, well, we don't really want to either A, we don't want to buy licenses for this AI tool, or B, we're just not comfortable. So we're not going to do anything. We're just going to tell our people not to use AI. Good luck with that. Because guess what? Your paralegals, your associates, your staff members who are literally 2 clicks away from Google Gemini or the free version of ChatGPT or whatever it may be, they are going to use it. And there was just an article this week about Morgan and Morgan, which is the largest plaintiff personal injury firm in the nation. One of their lawyers filed a brief that had fake cases in it and got sanctioned, I think, as a result of that. And that's a firm that's enormous and has great, and honestly, by all accounts and rumors, has great technology. So I'm not sure how that person managed to make that mistake, but you know, that's not a reason to not use AI. It's a reason to educate your team on using the right AI tools for the right tasks. There are some great use cases for what OpenAI has built. ChatGPT, particularly the enterprise version, where you begin to use the some of the models that the O1 or O3 Mini or Deep Research, which just came out in the last couple of weeks. Some of those things are very powerful. I would not use them for case law. If you need case law, you should go to Lexis AI, Case Text Co-Counsel, which was acquired by Thomson Reuters. Some tool that's purpose built for case law. So just word of caution to your attorneys who are listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Tell us a little bit about Skribe.ai. What it is, how did you come up with the idea? How does it help?
Yeah. Yeah. So, look, I've taken and defended hundreds of depositions in my career, and I always thought it was a slow and expensive and kind of outdated process. You have a stenographer who's typing on a funny looking keyboard that looks like it was invented hundreds of years ago, because it was
It
invented hundreds of
was.
years ago. It was from 1877. And then if you pay extra to have a videographer come video it, you've got equipment that looks like it was used to film the movie Jaws being set up to film this video. And then what's really strange for me, the techie, was I would go to these depositions and then I it would be weeks before I'd get a copy of my transcript, the video, and then when I did get it, it was disjointed. Like, and what do I mean by that? Well, the transcript would be a PDF, the video was used to be on a DVD, now it gets delivered in kind of a box or Dropbox, link. But there was no easy way to like create video clips and work with the testimony. And it was extremely expensive. So, what is Scribe? So, Scribe is a modern take on what court reporting should be. And so, Scribe uses software to capture the testimony, to create a near instant AI transcript. And then within 5 days, we have humans in the loop, professional transcriptionists go through and proofread, and they review it 2 to 3 times, the transcript, legally format it, and make sure it's up to legal standards. So it's a way that attorneys and their teams can get their depositions done faster. So you get a synced transcript the first day, the rough transcript synced to the video within about an hour of your deposition. And you can leverage AI against it. So using the Scribe tool, you can go in and literally have a conversation with your deposition. What did the witness say about prior back injuries? The AI will analyze the entire deposition, answer the question, and create video clips for you of the corresponding testimony. So it's a very powerful way to kind of begin to work with your testimony. And probably the biggest kicker that really probably brings most of the clients to Scribe is it's about 50% less expensive than an old-fashioned court reporting.
That sounds like an awesome tool. How long has it been around?
Yeah, we launched about a year and a half ago. So, roughly a year and a half ago. We've done now almost 1,500 depositions across 20 states. So still, so good traction, but still early days, right? But we're
Yeah.
we're proving we're proving it out. We're super excited. January was our best month so far, and it looks like February will be even better. So yeah, it's been a fun ride, but still a ways to go.
Awesome. Well, congrats on launching the product. And I want to ask you about this because it comes up pretty frequently when talking about AI and training AI over time. It gets better, but it gets better the more data you feed it. And so you've done all of these depositions
Mhm.
across multiple firms and multiple cases. How does your team safeguard the data
Yeah.
and prevent it from leaking out?
Oh, that's a great question. So two concepts here. One, there's no question that the future of testimony is software based, right? So there is a court reporter shortage nationwide. Young people are in their 20s are not clamoring to learn how to type on a stenography machine. Maybe some of them should. It's actually in very high demand, but the reality is they aren't. And so it is a shrinking profession. I won't say dying, I'll say shrinking. Whereas the number of claims and the number of litigated files are going up and up and up. So there's no question that the future of analyzing and capturing testimony is software. Now, with that comes potential privacy concerns, which we at Scribe we take extremely important. So a couple of things. One, all of the data is encrypted. We do not train on the data. So that, when the customers take depositions with Scribe, we are not using the deposition data from those customers to train any type of AI models. We don't need to right now. If we ever do, it would be through express consent. Like the customer would be presented with a disclaimer, hey, if you would like to opt in, here's the benefits of it. But we do not currently do it, and we do not currently have any plans to do it. And these models are improving so fast and the quality is getting so good. I really don't think we're going to need to do it. In fact, I saw Sam Altman, OpenAI CEO, say at a conference last year, I think called it a fool's errand to try and go either build a model or spend tons of money tuning a model, unless you're running a multi-hundred-million-dollar company and you have tons of money to throw at an effort like that. But to your point, privacy is extremely important, particularly when we're talking about legal depositions and some of the topics that are discussed in those depositions. So we really go out of our way to protect that data and make sure that it's all private. And even the way we share that information, like some court reporting companies just email out copies of everything that was presented or exchanged at a deposition. We flow it all through our application so that it's secure, access where someone has to register to be able to access the encrypted data. So really, privacy first is the way we approach it.
Awesome. And Karl, you have a lot going on with your firm and with Skribe.ai. What are you excited about over the next year or so?
Gosh, I mean, so excited about both. I mean, like at my firm, I just created an AI task force, which sounds fancier maybe than it is. It's a group of probably 6 to 8 team members, a couple partners, few associates, and some paralegals. And we are in the process of testing and deciding what tools we're going to use to make our law firm better so that we can do a better job for our clients. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to have other team members stepping up to help me analyze the tools. Of course, we already use Scribe, which really does save our clients a lot of time and money. The money is the obvious piece because it costs less than a traditional court reporting solution, but it also ends up saving additional fees because with the AI chat feature, you can have a deposition summary created for you in just a few clicks, and you can get it just like you want it. So if you have a client that likes something in a certain format for reporting purposes, you can just tell the AI chatbot, hey, draft me a deposition summary that covers the following topics in the following style, bullet point, paragraph, whatever. And it will generate a very high quality summary that would have taken a paralegal or an associate maybe hours to draft. And so that also saves the client money. But on the law firm side, I think that attorneys who embrace AI but do it in a responsible way, where they're training their team, they're aware of the privacy terms, they make sure that whatever company they're using is not training on their clients' data. I think those firms are going to succeed and really excel in the future. On the Scribe side of things, there's a lot of features we're going to be adding this year. There's some that I'm just super, super excited about. I can't talk about them yet, but they're going to really not only enhance the way you take a deposition and analyze a deposition, but almost be like a superpower and help you take better depositions than you currently take. And so I've been working with the team as recently as yesterday. In fact, we met on this topic, and we have some really, really cool tools, things that, 5 years ago you would have never thought were possible, that I think are going to make attorneys who use Scribe that much better at their jobs, and hopefully bring in a lot more customers as well.
Awesome. Karl, great chatting with you. You had so much to offer to our audience today. So thanks for being on the podcast. Congratulations on all your success. And if people want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so feel free to drop me an email. I'm going to use the Scribe email because it's shorter, probably easy to remember. So that's Karl with a K at Skribe with a K .ai. And if you mention this podcast when you shoot me an email, happy to give you 50% off your first deposition with Scribe or a complimentary upload for our library product, which is where you can upload past audio and video files into the platform and do some of the things that I was describing earlier.
Awesome. Karl, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Lawyer Business Advantage podcast. One thing that would really help both us and other new potential listeners is for you to rate this show and leave a comment in iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you tune in to listen. And I want to hear from you, so connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know what you think of this episode. And if you are a solo or an owner of a small law firm and you're looking to earn more money, attract better clients, or reduce your stress, we would love to talk with you to see how we can help. Request your free law firm assessment by visiting lawfirmsuccessgroup.com. Again, that URL is lawfirmsuccessgroup.com. We look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you for listening. My name is Alay Yajnik. Until next time, remember, you can seize freedom, you can embrace happiness, you can build your perfect practice.